Good afternoon. This is All India Radio. I'm Anubha Rohatgi, and with me is Abhishek Mukhopadhyay with the Midday News. The headlines. India and the United States reiterate their firm commitment to strategic partnership and shared priorities. BRICS nations adopt new counter-terrorism strategy to effectively deal with the menace. Central government takes concrete steps to contain the spread of COVID-19 in Delhi. COVID-19 recovery rate reaches 93.52%. 4-day celebrations of Chhath Puja begin today in different parts of the country. And FIFA cancels World's Under-17 Football World Cup, India to host 2022 edition. As the nation fights the COVID-19 pandemic, we begin with a message of precaution to stay safe and protected by following these 3 simple steps. Wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki doori for social distancing, focus on hand and face hygiene. And now the news. Prime Minister Narendra Modi spoke to US President-elect Joe Biden yesterday and congratulated him. During the telephonic conversation, the 2 leaders agreed to advance Indo-US strategic partnership. They reiterated their firm commitment to the Indo-US strategic partnership and discussed the shared priorities and concerns: COVID-19 pandemic, climate change, and cooperation in the Indo-Pacific region. The Prime Minister also conveyed warm congratulations for US Vice President-elect Kamala Harris. Mr. Modi said her success is a matter of great pride and inspiration for members of the vibrant Indian-American community who are a tremendous source of strength for Indo-US relations.
The 5-nation grouping BRICS has adopted a new counter-terrorism strategy to effectively deal with terrorism. The objective of BRICS counter-terrorism cooperation is to complement and strengthen the existing bilateral and multilateral ties among the BRIC countries and to make a meaningful contribution to the global efforts of preventing and combating the threat of terrorism. The BRICS countries reaffirm that terrorism in all its forms and manifestations constitutes one of the most serious threats to international peace and security, and that any act of terrorism committed is a crime and has no justification. The BRICS countries aim to strengthen the unity in countering international terrorism and its financing. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said terrorism is the biggest problem in the world today. He stressed that countries that give protection and support to terrorists must be held accountable. The Prime Minister was addressing the 12th BRICS Summit via video conferencing last evening.
आतंकवाद आज विश्व के सामने सबसे बड़ी समस्या है। हमें यह सुनिश्चित करना होगा कि आतंकवादियों को समर्थन और सहायता देने वाले देशों को भी दोषी ठहराया जाए और इस समस्या का संगठित तरीके से मुकाबला किया जाए।
The Prime Minister expressed happiness that under Russia's leadership, BRICS counter-terrorism strategy has been given final touch. He said India will take it forward during his leadership. He added that during his leadership of BRICS, India will promote digital health and traditional medicine among BRICS countries. The Prime Minister highlighted that due to the strength of its pharma sector, India was able to provide medicines to over 150 countries during COVID lockdown period. He said countries' vaccine production and delivery ability will help mankind in the same way. The Prime Minister emphasized that reforms in the UN Security Council are very important. He said India expects support from BRICS partners on this issue.
We are at a very important point in our history. More than half of the world's citizens already live in urban areas. Over the next 2 decades, India and some of the African nations are going to witness the biggest wave of urbanization. But the COVID-19 pandemic has posed enormous challenges before the world. It has shown us that cities which were our growth engines are also our vulnerable zones.
The Prime Minister stated that India has been a core supporter of multilateralism and the entire world is considered a family in Indian tradition.
The Ministry of Home Affairs today said that the central government is taking concrete steps to contain the spread of rising COVID-19 cases in Delhi on the direction of the Home Minister Amit Shah. The ministry informed that 10 multidisciplinary teams have started visiting the hospitals for assessing bed utilization and testing capacities. It also informed that planning for house-to-house survey in Delhi is in the advanced stage and the survey is expected to begin by this weekend and projected to be completed by the 25th of November. It said the Indian Council of Medical Research and the Delhi government are working together to enhance RT-PCR testing capacity to 60,000 tests by the end of this month. It informed that testing capacity was already enhanced by 10,000 tests per day, and 5 RT-PCR labs, including at AIIMS Delhi, have started functioning round the clock. It said the ICMR will help the Delhi government in deploying 10 mobile testing labs for COVID-19 with a total capacity of 20,000 tests in a phased manner. The ICMR will also help in augmenting capacity by 2,000 tests of existing Delhi labs by deploying more manpower and equipment through engagement with private sector labs. The Home Affairs Ministry said the Defence Research and Development Organisation DRDO will add more ICU beds in its COVID hospital near Delhi Airport. It said the DRDO will add 250 ICU beds to its already existing 250 ICU beds and also create 35 BIPAP beds in the next 3 to 4 days. It said that 45 doctors and 160 paramedics from Central Armed Police Force CAPF have reached Delhi for deployment at DRDO Hospital and at COVID Care Centre situated at Chhatarpur. The country's COVID-19 recovery rate has reached around 93.52%. During the last 24 hours, more than 44,000 COVID patients have recovered. The Health Ministry said the total number of recoveries has gone over 83,35,000. The actual caseload currently comprises only 5.01% of the total positive cases. Presently, the total number of active cases in the country is around 4,46,000. During the past 24 hours, 38,617 new cases were reported, taking the total number of positive cases in the country to over 89 lakh. Currently, India's case fatality rate is at 1.47%, which is one of the lowest globally. During the last 24 hours, 474 deaths were reported, taking the toll to 1,30,993. According to the Indian Council of Medical Research, more than 9,37,000 tests were conducted during the last 24 hours. The total number of samples tested so far has reached 12 crore 74 lakh.
Indian Council of Medical Research ICMR has advised that indiscriminate use of convalescent plasma therapy is not advisable for the treatment of the COVID-19 cases. ICMR conducted an open-label Phase 2 multi-center randomized controlled trial in India across 39 public and private hospitals on use of convalescent plasma in the management of cases with moderate COVID-19 disease. In Telangana, 948 fresh COVID cases have been reported in the past 24 hours. With this, the total COVID cases reported in the state has gone up to 2,59,776. The state conducted over 42,000 tests yesterday. The recovery rate slightly improved to 94.42%, with 1,607 more people recovering yesterday. This took the number of recovered people so far in the state to 2,45,293. Meanwhile, 154 new COVID-19 cases were reported in Hyderabad in the past 24 hours.
The COVID-19 case fatality rate of Bengaluru city is the lowest at 1.1% among all the major cities in India. Karnataka Health and Medical Education Minister Dr. K. Sudhakar has tweeted that Bengaluru, which holds the highest caseload in the state, has improved its position today with the lowest fatality rate among major cities in the country. The city's recovery rate stands at a healthy 93.94%, with 3,36,880 recoveries and 17,707 active cases as on yesterday. The active case rate in the state capital is 4.93%. At the state level, 1,336 new COVID cases and 2,100 recoveries were reported yesterday. In Tripura, 76 new cases of coronavirus were detected in the past 24 hours, while 119 patients were discharged after recovery during the period. With this, the total number of infected people rose to 32,009, while 30,727 infected people recovered from the disease. As of today, 925 infected people are undergoing treatment in different COVID care centers. The recovery rate has improved to 95.97%.
In Mizoram, 37 new cases of coronavirus infection were detected and 4 patients were discharged from hospitals after recovery in the past 24 hours. With this, the total number of COVID-19 cases rose to 3,481. The official statement reports that 2,972 infected people have so far been recovered from the disease and discharged from different COVID care centers. According to the official statement, the recovery rate presently stands at 84.75%. Presently, 504 people infected with the virus are undergoing treatment in different COVID care centers and COVID hospitals. In Rajasthan, the number of active cases of COVID-19 has once again crossed the 19,000 mark after 26 days. 2,194 new cases have been reported in the state yesterday evening. The total number of infected persons has exceeded 230,000. Our correspondent reports that Jaipur and Jodhpur districts are the most affected by the COVID infection.
More than 450 people are being tested positive every day in the capital Jaipur. The number of active patients is more than 6,500 here. 400 people have been died due to the infection so far. 317 new patients have been found positive in Jodhpur yesterday. The number of active patients there is more than 4,700. A large number of new infections are being reported from Bikaner, Alwar, Ajmer and Kota. More than 40 lakh samples have been tested in the state so far. Jitendra Dwivedi, AIR News, Jaipur.
The News Services Division of All India Radio, in its bilingual live phone-in program tonight, will bring you a special discussion program on COVID-19. Dr. Madhur Yadav, Professor of Medicine, Lady Hardinge Medical College, will participate in the discussion. Listeners can ask questions to the experts on toll-free telephone number 1800-115767. You can also ask questions on telephone number 011-2331-4444 and post queries on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alerts by hashtag AskAIR. This can be heard tonight on FM Gold channel and additional frequencies from 9:30 p.m. onwards. The program will also be available on our website newsonair.com and on our YouTube channel News on AIR Official. You can also follow us on News on AIR app for updates.
You are listening to the Midday News on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. India and United States reiterate their firm commitment to strategic partnership and shared priorities. BRICS nations adopt new counter-terrorism strategy to effectively deal with the menace. Central government takes concrete steps to contain the spread of COVID-19 in Delhi. COVID-19 recovery rate reaches 93.52%. 4-day celebrations of Chhath Puja begin today in different parts of the country. And FIFA cancels Women's Under-17 Football World Cup, India to host 2022 edition. For quick news updates around the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alerts.
The 4-day celebrations of Chhath Puja began today in different parts of the country with the traditional Nahai Khai ceremony. Chhath is the festival of worship of the sun, and it is a symbol of faith of crores of people across the world. After taking bath, devotees consume cooked food items like arwa rice, chana dal and gourd as part of the Nahai Khai ritual. Devotees will offer their obeisance, the Sandhya Arghya, to the setting sun on Friday. The festival will conclude on Saturday morning with Prataha Arghya.
चलवा के पात पर उगे सूरज मल झाके झुके से करलू छठ बरतिया पे झाके झुके से करलू छठ बरतिया पे झाके झुके हम तो से पूछी बरतिया बरतिया से कितना
In Bihar, the biggest festival of the state this time is being celebrated amid COVID-19 pandemic. Several guidelines have been issued to check the pandemic. More from our correspondent.
Devotees have been advised to follow protocols regarding COVID-19 pandemic. Special Chhath festival guidelines have been issued. The state government has appealed people to observe the festival in their home as mass gathering may aggravate the pandemic. Use of face mask and observance of social distance is mandatory. Mass gathering on the banks of all rivers in the state, including Ganga, Gandak and Kosi, has been prohibited. Devotees have been advised to perform the Chhath Puja at small ponds and other water bodies, taking proper precautionary measures. The Chhath Ghats will be sanitized as per COVID-19 guidelines by civic authorities. Organizing Chhath Mela, Jagran and other cultural programs banned in the state. Kids up to age of 10 years and people above 60 years old will not be allowed to visit Chhath Ghat. Dharmendra Kumar Rai, AIR News, Patna.
In Uttar Pradesh, Chhath festival will be celebrated with strict adherence to the social distancing guidelines due to corona pandemic. Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath has ordered officials to make arrangements for clean ghats and other facilities for the devotees who gather at the banks of various rivers. With an aim to prevent the spread of coronavirus infection, Mumbai's civic body has said that it will not allow Chhath Puja at beaches and river banks. In a release, the Municipal Corporation of Greater Mumbai said the city police will have to ensure that people do not crowd at river sites on 20th evening for sunset rituals and on 21st for the sunrise ritual. The Delhi government has declared holiday on Friday on account of Chhath Puja. The BJP Purvanchal Morcha held a protest march yesterday towards the residence of Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal against the government's decision to ban Chhath Puja on the banks of River Yamuna and public ghats. The Delhi Disaster Management Committee has ordered that Chhath Puja will not be held at any public place this time due to the COVID-19 outbreak.
Defence Minister Rajnath Singh said that the Constitution binds the country in one thread and it is our tradition and cultural heritage. He said a Constitution is for the people, by the people and for the people. While launching the Constitution Day Youth Club activities today, Mr. Rajnath said country is going to celebrate the 6th Constitution Day in the next week. He said beginning of this day expresses our faith and allegiance to the Constitution. The minister informed that on the 125th birth anniversary of Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar in 2015, Prime Minister Narendra Modi started celebrating Constitution Day.
हमारा संविधान हमें सिखाता है कि हम एक बने और नेक बने। यह हमें अनुशासन और विविधता में भी एकता और अखंडता का पाठ पढ़ाता है। स्वतंत्रता, समानता, सामाजिक समरसता और सद्भावना, मैं ये मानता हूं कि इसके मूल स्तंभ हैं और इसकी प्रस्तावना का पहला शब्द यानी हम अपने आप में बहुत कुछ कह देता है.
He urged the youth to come forward to create awareness in the society about the basic tenets of a constitution. He stressed on the need of creating awareness of the rights as well as duties of a good citizen.
संविधान के प्रति लोगों को जागरूक करने का यह मतलब नहीं कि आप उन्हें संविधान के फैक्ट्स को याद कराएं कि हमारे संविधान में इतने भाग हैं, इतने आर्टिकल हैं. इसकी भी जानकारी होनी चाहिए, इसमें कहीं दो राय नहीं. यहीं तक हमको सीमित नहीं रहना है. हमें उन्हें व्यवहारिक रूप में इसके प्रति जागरूक करना. हमें उन्हें नागरिकों के अधिकारों और उससे भी महत्वपूर्ण है एक अच्छे नागरिक के कर्मों और कर्तव्यों के बारे में सचेत करना.
The winter session of the Odisha Legislative Assembly will commence from the 20th of this month. The 5th session of the 16th Assembly is likely to continue till the 31st of December this year. Like the previous session, this session too will not have weekend breaks. More from a correspondent.
This will be the second time that a session of the State Assembly will be conducted amid the pandemic. Earlier, the short-duration monsoon session had been held in conformity with COVID-19 guidelines from the 29th September to the 7th of October this year. Speaking to media, Assembly Speaker Surya Narayan Patra had said that this session too will be conducted with strict adherence to the preventive protocol. Meanwhile, a 3-day testing camp beginning yesterday has been organized in the premises of the State Assembly to prevent the COVID-positive persons from entering the Assembly. All concerned, including MLAs, employees, press and the police personnel are being subjected to RT-PCR tests to ensure a COVID-safe session in sync with COVID-appropriate behavior. Girish Chandra Das, AIR News, Bhubaneswar.
Karnataka State Cabinet has decided to call for an assembly session from December 7th to 15th. The Law Minister in the state, Madhuswamy, informed the media persons that the session would be held in Bengaluru. Another important decision by the Cabinet was to carve out a new Vijayanagara district by bifurcating Bellary district. The cabinet also decided to enhance the reservation of SC and STs in accordance with the population. Accordingly, a cabinet subcommittee will be formed to enhance reservation of SC from 15 to 17% and ST from 3 to 7%.
In Madhya Pradesh, the state government has decided to set up a Gau cabinet for the protection and promotion of cows in the state. More from our correspondent.
In a tweet message, the Chief Minister informed that we have been decided to constitute a Go Cabinet for the protection and fostering of Godhan, means cow and its progeny in the state. Ministers of the Animal Husbandry, Forest, Panchayat and Rural Development, Revenue, Home and Farmers Welfare Departments will be included in this cabinet. The first meeting of the cabinet will be held on 12 noon at November 22 to mark Gopashtami at Go Sanctuary in Agarmalwa district. Meanwhile, India's first cow sanctuary, Kamdhenu Go Abhyaranya in Agarmalwa district, was set up by the state government in September 2017. It was developed by the MP Go Samvardhan Board by spending about Rs 32 crore. The sanctuary is spread across 472 hectares. Sanjeev Sharma, AIR News, Bhopal.
In Gujarat, 11 people were killed and 15 others injured when the mini truck they were travelling in collided with another truck at Vagodhia Circle near Vadodara this morning. The deceased belonged to the Varacha area of Surat. They were travelling to a tourist place, Pavagadh, in Panchmahal district when the mishap occurred. AIR Ahmedabad correspondent reports that police and fire brigade personnel rushed to the spot and evacuated the people trapped in the accident. The injured have been admitted to nearby hospitals. President Ramnath Kovind has expressed grief over the road accident in Vadodara. In a tweet, Mr. Kovind said he is distressed to learn about the loss of lives in a tragic road accident. He said his thoughts and prayers are with the bereaved families in this hour of grief. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has also condoled the death of the victims and wished for a speedy recovery of the injured. In his tweet, the Prime Minister expressed grief over the death of people in the accident. Home Minister Amit Shah has expressed anguish over the loss of lives in the tragic road accident in Vadodara. In a tweet, Mr. Shah said the local administration is providing all possible assistance. Gujarat's Chief Minister Vijay Rupani has also expressed grief over the accident and has instructed officials to provide immediate assistance to the accident victims.
In Assam, political activities are gaining momentum following the declaration of fresh polls schedule in the Bodoland Territorial Council (BTC) by the State Election Commission yesterday. Polling will be held on the 7th and 10th of next month in 2 phases. Counting of votes will be held on the 12th of next month. A total of 241 candidates are in the fray. A report.
Nearly 24 lakh voters will decide the political fate of the candidates in 40 seats in BTC. 19 seats will go to the polls in the first phase, while second phase will cover 21 seats. All the political parties are trying to woo the voters through rallies and roadshows. BJP's alliance partner in Dispur, Bodoland People's Front, BPF, is contesting in 37 seats. The BJP is asking for votes alleging misrule of BPF in BTC during the last 15 years. On the other hand, former student leader Pramod Bodo-led UPPL has put up candidates in all the 40 seats, while Congress is contesting in 13 constituencies. Manas Pratim Sharma, AR News, Guwahati.
With an aim to increase scheduled tribe representation in the civil service sector, the Maharashtra government has decided to pay a monthly stipend to scheduled tribe candidates preparing for the UPSC exams. State Tribal Development Minister K.C. Padvi yesterday said state government has decided to pay a monthly stipend of Rs 12,000 and a total of Rs 26,000 for the purchase of books for scheduled tribe candidates preparing for UPSC's civil service main examination and interview. More from a correspondent.
Under this scheme, financial assistance will be given to 25 candidates who have passed the pre-examination of UPSC and are preparing for the main examination, and 25 candidates who have passed the main examination and are preparing for the interview. The scheme will be implemented from the year 2020-21. Padvi said that through the Tribal Research and Training Institute, the eligible students from the scheduled tribes will be selected and the amount will be deposited directly in their bank accounts. Devapriya Bhattacharjee, AIR News, Mumbai.
The Kerala Vigilance arrested former Kerala Minister V.K. Ibrahim Kunju in connection with the Palarivattom bridge corruption case at Kochi today. He was arrested from a private hospital where he was admitted yesterday for treatment. Before the arrest, the Vigilance had conducted search operations in his house at Aluva. Previously, he was interrogated several times in connection with the case by State Vigilance and Enforcement Directorate. V.K. Ibrahim Kunju was the fifth accused in the case. Japanese Prime Minister Yoshihide Suga and his Australian counterpart Scott Morrison have signed a landmark defence deal in a bid to counter China's growing influence in the South China Sea and over the Pacific Island nations. The reciprocal access agreement comes weeks after foreign ministers of the Quad alliance, which includes the US and India, met in Tokyo. The pact allows Japanese and Australian troops to visit each other's countries and conduct training and joint operations. The Australian Prime Minister said that the treaty will strengthen their security ties and facilitate cooperation between defence forces. The joint statement said the two sides also agreed on the need for a framework to allow Japanese military to protect Australian forces if needed. It also expressed serious concern about the situation in the South China Sea and reconfirmed their strong opposition to any coercive or unilateral attempt to change the status quo and thereby increase tensions in the region.
As a tribute to the legendary Bengali actor Soumitra Chatterjee, Films Division will be screening his biopic Soumitra Revisited today. The artist passed away on Sunday at the age of 85. The documentaries will be streamed on www.filmsdivision.org. Women's Under-17 Football World Cup in India, which was initially postponed to next year due to COVID-19 pandemic, was cancelled by FIFA yesterday, but India was handed the hosting rights of the 2022 edition. The FIFA cancelled both the Women's Under-17 World Cup and Under-20 World Cup, which were scheduled to be held in India and Costa Rica respectively, but handed both the countries the hosting rights of the 2022 editions. All India Football Federation AIFF President Praful Patel said the local organizing committee is ready to start afresh for hosting the 2022 edition. It has also announced that FIFA Club World Cup, originally planned for next month, will now be held from February 1st to 11th next year in Doha. In tennis, Dominic Thiem defeated 20-time Grand Slam champion Rafael Nadal in straight sets at the ATP Finals in London yesterday. World number 3 Thiem of Austria clinched a victory over world number 2 Spaniard Nadal.
Now let us take a look at the weather update for today. The national capital will have mainly clear sky. The minimum temperature was recorded at 11 degrees Celsius and maximum will be around 27 degrees. In Mumbai, sky will be partly cloudy. The minimum temperature in the metropolis was 24 degrees Celsius and the maximum will be around 36 degrees. Chennai will have thunderstorm with rain. The temperature will hover between 25 and 31 degrees Celsius. Kolkata is expected to have mainly clear sky with temperature varying between 20 and 31 degrees Celsius. On to the north, in Srinagar, there will be mainly clear sky becoming partly cloudy towards afternoon or evening. The minimum temperature was 1 degree Celsius while maximum will be around 15 degrees. In Jammu, lower level of temperature was 10 degrees Celsius while the upper level will be around 24 degrees. There will be mainly clear sky. In Leh, sky will be mainly clear, becoming partly cloudy towards afternoon or evening. Minimum temperature was -10 degrees Celsius while the maximum will be around 10 degrees. Gilgit will experience partly cloudy sky becoming generally cloudy towards afternoon or evening or night with temperature hovering between 0 and 13 degrees Celsius. In Muzaffarabad, there will be mainly clear sky becoming partly cloudy towards afternoon or evening. The temperature will hover between 5 and 20 degrees Celsius. In Dehradun, the temperature will hover between 9 and 27 degrees Celsius. The sky will be mainly clear. Chandigarh will have partly cloudy sky. Temperature will hover between 11 and 26 degrees Celsius. In Hyderabad, the minimum temperature was 19 degrees Celsius while the maximum will be around 30 degrees. The city will have partly cloudy sky with haze. Ahmedabad will see a clear sky. The minimum temperature was 18 degrees Celsius while maximum will be around 32 degrees. Patna will have mainly clear sky with temperature hovering between 16 and 29 degrees Celsius. And Guwahati will witness fog in early morning and clear sky later. The minimum temperature in the city was 17 degrees Celsius while the maximum will be around 32 degrees. And now before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. India and United States reiterate their firm commitment to strategic partnership and shared priorities. BRICS nations adopt new counter-terrorism strategy to effectively deal with the menace. Central government takes concrete steps to contain the spread of COVID-19 in Delhi. COVID-19 recovery rate reaches 93.52%. 4-day celebrations of Chhath Puja begin today in different parts of the country. And FIFA cancels Women's Under-17 Football World Cup, India to host 2022 edition. For details of these stories and more, log on to our website www.newsonair.com and News on AIR app. And with that, we end the Midday News.